We're live on YouTube, Rockfin. Well, about to be live on Rockfin, Rumble, and X. And we're about to start this town hall tonight that CNN assures us is crucial. It's a 13th hour opportunity, I just heard them say, for Kamala Harris to win the room full of independent voters that they assure us are there. They managed to find all of the independent voters, bring them to this room in Pennsylvania, and put Anderson Cooper there to moderate this town hall, which comes just a day after, and welcome our guest here, Forrest Mommy. Thank you for joining me today.
Alrighty, me. Is my sound better?
Yeah, sounds good.
Good.
Can you guys in the chats hear everything solid? You guys let us know there.
I don't mind being seen and not heard. That's fine too, but you know.
Well, sight for sore eyes and ears, I would say. We have Kamala walking out on stage. I'm going to put it up on screen, but could you believe the revelation last night, Forrest Mommy, about Trump is literally Hitler?
Who knew?
He looks great for his age. He must be in his hundreds at this point. Here we go.
He's so up, like on uppers and stuff all the time.
He must be, yeah. He's never stopped doing those uppers. I guess those uppers aren't as bad as they say they are. He's been able to live this long off of them. All right,
remember those videos of Hitler
just like tweaking out at the Olympics? Yeah, totally. He's totally like a cokehead. All right. Here we go. And I have to agree with Wild Bill in the comments. He said the screen image I used of Kamala, the AI image, way too busty for Kamala, the real Kamala. I was just trying to get her drinking 2 glasses of wine. They gave her really, really nice boobs in the AI photo. That was unintentional.
Well, she is fairly busty, isn't she?
You know, they've been trying to dress her like she is she's conservative.
True. She doesn't show them off.
I don't know what's underneath there. I got to be honest with you. All right, she's already started running her mouth.
Chief of Staff. His
Can you hear that okay?
Security advisor.
Turn up a bit.
Former secretaries of defense.
I can put earphones on too if that would help.
Have all called
How about that?
Unfit and dangerous. They have said explicitly he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. They have said he should never again serve as president of the United States. We know that is why Mike Pence is not running with him again.
Well,
why
Bill
the job was
asked if you could bump your audio up a little bit,
John Kelly,
Forrest Mommy, if possible.
A 4-star Marine general, who was his longest-serving chief of staff, gave an interview recently in the last 2 weeks of this election, talking about how dangerous Donald Trump
that sounds
is.
really good to me.
And I think one has to think
Does that
about
sound good?
why
sounds
would
deeper.
someone who served with him, who is not political, a 4-star Marine general, why is he telling the American people now?
They already did all of this
frankly,
stuff with the general.
He's just putting out a 911 call to the American people.
I don't even remember when, because time compresses.
Understand what could happen.
But
if
these
Donald
Hitler
Trump
claims
back in the
have
White
already
House.
been made,
And
and
this time,
the other
we
people in the
must take
room all
very
said
seriously
this didn't happen.
Those folks who knew him best
I thought we
and
weren't
who
allowed to
career
compare
people
anything to Hitler.
are not going to be there.
Well, enough time has passed
hold
by
him back.
that you can start doing it
At
again. You only need a
least
few
before.
weeks.
There were folks
Do
who
what?
would know what he would say,
You know Gina
but they would
Carano, who she
restrain
is?
him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. She got
Imagine
canceled
now
for that,
Donald
didn't she?
Trump
The meme.
in the Oval
It was
Office,
just like it wasn't
in the
it was just
Situation
saying, like,
Room.
you gotta
He
pay
has
attention to what
openly
happens before
admired
that stuff
dictators.
happens.
Saying
Yeah,
all
the
the
Disney
people
actress.
on day
She used to
one.
be anyway.
The
The
former
Mandalorian chick.
chairman of the
Yeah.
Joint Chiefs
She's
of
so cool.
Staff
She
has said he is a
follows me.
fascist to the core.
Now she's starring in Ben Shapiro's
So
movies.
I think that when the American people reflect, especially those who are undecided,
Who's undecided?
on who you should listen to, don't take my word for it. In fact, go online.
So the
and
undecided
listen to John
people are the
Kelly's.
people who are undecided about whether or not they're going to vote at all for like a third or fourth party. There's nobody sitting around going, I still don't know if I want to go Kamala or Trump.
But there are undecided voters who clearly, by being here, have an open mind, want to talk in a way that is grounded in
open
issues
minds
and
at
facts.
CNN. That's the first thing I think is open mind.
Yeah, I'd love to see the vetting process of this crowd they selected here.
Concerned about the future of our country.
What's up, Frighten Me? What's up, JC?
You quoted General Milley calling Donald Trump.
Stoner says hot voice, mommy.
Have not used that word to describe
Thank you,
him. Let me
Stoner.
ask you tonight: do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
What?
And I also believe
Well,
that
that's
the people
a
who know
shocking
best
answer.
on this subject should be trusted. Again, look at their careers. These are not people, with the exception, I think, of only Mike Pence. These were not politicians.
They were trying to hang Mike Pence, of
These
course.
are career
What-
people who have served
keeping Mike
in the highest roles in national security, who have served as generals in our military, who are highly respected. Talking about
You can just select any
the person who would be
official,
commander-in-chief,
somebody with a
not to
title, and get
mention
them to say
what we know
anything
and what
on
they've
any side
told us
about any
how he
subject or
talks
person.
about the military, servicemen. And
It's just such the stupidest
referring to them as
appeals.
suckers and losers. How he demeans people who have taken an oath to sacrifice their
At least she
life.
sounds not as stupid
for our
to me. She must
country.
have practiced a lot or something.
And I
Well,
do
she
believe,
seems a little
Anderson,
more
that
sober
part of
tonight
this
than
is
usual,
why, even
and she's
just
in a
this
friendly
week,
environment,
I
so I think her
traveled
nerves
this
are probably
state
good.
and others with Liz Cheney, former Congress member who was a very high-ranking Republican.
She got those
She
pearls
has endorsed
on.
me.
How much do you think
Her
those are
father,
worth?
The former
Oh.
Vice President of the United States, Dick
I'm
Cheney, is
Sure,
voting
it's
for
like
me.
a $10,000
Over
necklace.
400 members
can't even
of
imagine.
previous members of the
And I am
administration from
not
Ronald
sober tonight.
Reagan
I'm
to
drinking
both
wine out of a
Presidents
plastic
Bush
cup.
Hell yeah. That's the only way to do
have
it.
endorsed my candidacy. And the reason why among them is a legitimate fear
What's up, J-Dub?
based on Donald Trump's words and actions that he will not obey
J-Dub the
an
Laker.
oath to support and defend the Constitution.
She's
of the
dumb as a
United States.
cock. You
He
mean
himself
rock,
has
says
said he would
J-Dub.
terminate the Constitution of the United States and wants to earn your
He's gonna
vote
terminate
to
the
stand
Constitution.
again behind the seal of the President of the United States.
And the girl
No
says she wants to
one.
ban guns.
Standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America
I want her to just flip out.
should be in that
So,
position.
they've tried to
saying they
show
want
her
to terminate the Constitution of the United States.
getting
Let's get to some of our voters. This is a
aggressive,
registered Republican,
being
who's
able to
very
fight
concerned
back,
about Trump's views on democracy
and she
January
goes a
6th.
little too
She
far
told us
with it, I
she's
think.
looking for a
I wanna
reason
see
to
some more
vote
on
for
that.
you, but is yet to make her final decision. Her name is Natasha Kwiatkowski. She's a student at Bryn Mawr College. What's your question, Natasha?
Awesome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for taking my
How can I be a
question.
bureaucrat?
And as someone who hasn't fully committed to either party, how do you plan to address the concerns of independent voters and anti-Trump Republicans like myself who feel left out of the polarized political landscape?
she's a
And what
Republican.
specific actions would you take to bridge the political divide and create more unity?
That's a wonderful question. I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans. And I think, to the point of, in the spirit of your question, that people are frankly exhausted with what has been happening over the last several years, which is this environment that is suggesting that Americans should be pointing fingers at one another, that we are divided as a nation, instead of what I think you and I will speak for us, I think, who believe and know. The vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. And I think that
But
the
not with
American
you,
people
lady.
deserve to have a president who is
She's middle
grounded
class.
in
She
what
worked at
is common
McDonald's.
sense, what is practical, and what is in the best interest of the people, not themselves. I started my career as a prosecutor. And I will tell you, I never in my career, and most of my career was outside of Washington, D.C., by the way. Only 4 years when I was in the Senate were in Washington, other than being vice president. I have never in my career as a prosecutor asked a victim or a witness of a crime, are you a Democrat or a Republican? The only thing I've ever asked is, are you okay? And I do believe that is what the American people deserve in their president, and not someone who makes decisions based on who voted for them.
There were people
or
looking
what is in
for
their
evidence
personal
of
interest.
cases
And
that
I
she's actually
reference
tried.
that because, as we know,
And I haven't followed it in
has
about a
been
week or so,
revealed
but
that Donald Trump,
last
when
I
he
looked,
was
they were
president,
still unable to find
during
actual
extreme
evidence that she had
disasters, when
tried
it came time to determine
cases
how
that she
those
claimed she tried.
areas, those
Yeah, didn't she like
people
keep
who had been
people in so they could
traumatized
work
by
on the,
extreme weather would get
work
relief.
stuff?
He asked the question,
Are you,
did they vote for
she
him?
asked, are you okay to work?
I believe the American people deserve better. And they deserve a
You
president who is
30 pounds.
focused on solutions, not sitting in the Oval Office plotting their revenge and retribution.
Let me introduce you to Eric Swenson. He runs a service desk for an IT company in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. He's registered as a libertarian. describes himself
okay.
as an independent. He says he's undecided. Eric?
Thank you, Anderson. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Eric.
So my question is concerning groceries. Grocery
Yeah.
prices have gone up quite a bit in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And some people blame former President Trump. Some people blame President Biden. Who would you say is correct? And what would you do to bring prices down for Americans?
Thank you, Eric. And you're absolutely right. You know it. I know it. I think most Americans know it. Price of groceries is still too high. And we need to address it in a number of ways. One of my aspects of doing what we need to do to bring down the cost of living for working people and the middle class in America is to address the issue of grocery prices. Part of my background and how I come to it is probably a new approach grounded in a lot of my experiences as a former attorney general, where I took on price gouging. And part of my plan is to create
Exactly.
a new approach that is the first time that we will have a national ban on price gouging,
Fight the
which
taxes
is
at the grocery
companies
level.
taking advantage
donor
of
really
the
make sure you
desperation
vote
and
for that
need
one.
of the American consumer and jacking
Could you
up
bump your
prices
audio up
without
another
any
hair?
consequence or
I'm trying to
accountability.
balance it with a.
So that is one
thing
way.
here.
But to your point,
Thank
Eric,
you.
there are
I
a
can
number
just hold
of
the
issues that we
microphone.
need
Is
to
that
address
better?
in terms of bringing down the cost
Yes,
of
that
living.
is much better.
It includes what we need is really a new approach that I bring to the issue of affordable housing, including, for example, rent.
How's
And again,
that?
I bring
Feel
to it
better?
my
Great. Yeah, that's
experience,
wonderful.
knowing what has been happening in terms of how corporations have been buying up blocks of property.
Totally
diminish
libertarian, not an
competition,
attempt to make the crowd seem
and then
diverse, says
rents get
JC.
jacked
Sibling
up,
rivalry
and
says
addressing
here for the
that,
pantsuit party.
both in terms of making sure that there is a consequence and
Definitely a
accountability
pantsuit
for that,
party going on
but
at
also
CNN.
investing in people's dreams of home ownership.
Shoulder pad party as well.
You know, knowing that for too long, frankly, both administrations in both parties, Democrats and Republicans, haven't done enough to deal with the issue of housing.
I can't believe
And
you
we
haven't
need
been to
a new
one
approach
live
that
event,
includes
Stoner.
working with the private sector. I say that as a devout public servant, working with the private sector to cut through
She
the red
can't even
tape,
say
working
that
with
without
home
laughing.
builders,
Devout
working
public
with
servant.
developers to create tax incentives so that we can create more housing supply and bring down the price.
Let me just ask you about price gouging. I looked at your plan. You talk
My
about going after
microphone's
price
messed
gougers,
up,
and I'm
sorry.
quoting from the plan, on essential goods during emergencies or times of crisis. I get that. How does that help, though, someone like Eric with prices that for years the grocery prices have been
Dude
high?
hasn't missed a meal
Well,
talking
first of
about
all,
Eric.
Anderson, as you know, and obviously CNN has been covering extensively
Wild
what has
Bill.
been happening in the state of Georgia, North Carolina, Florida. It's a real issue. I was Attorney General of California. I was the top law enforcement officer.
I
of the
locked
biggest
up
state in
all the black
country.
people.
I took this issue on because it affects a
I'm a
lot
cop.
of people. And I'm not going to apologize for the fact that we need to actually deal with accountability when these, not all, in fact, most don't. But when
Does her jacket look
companies
too
are
big for
taking
her to
advantage
you?
of the desperation and the need of the American people. We saw it actually during the
Especially
pandemic as well.
wrong on the shoulder
Where
pad.
Yeah,
because
looks-
of
yeah,
supply
something
chain
looks a
issues,
little-
there was a reduction
I
of
think
supply,
Dougie dressed
and then
her.
they would inflate the price of everyday necessities. Not to mention, by the way, again, Donald
I
Trump.
think
should
the
be
answer
here
to that fiery
tonight to
peace,
talk with you and
peaceful
answer
patriot is
questions.
no.
He's not. He refused to come. But understand that part of his
Nobody
plan
refuses to come
is to
around
put in
Kamala.
place a national sales tax of at least 20% on everyday goods and necessities. And that, by economists'
that true?
estimates,
No, the whole
independent
purpose of this is we do
will
commentary,
cost you
Jay.
as the
So
American
if you don't want
consumer and
commentary, you're
taxpayer
in the wrong
an
place.
additional $4,000 a year.
I want you to meet Carol Nakanoff, a political science professor at Swarthmore College. She's
said
a registered
Trump wants
Democrat who says she's
20%
leaning toward voting for
sales
you, has
tax.
yet to make her
Has he
final
said something
decision.
like
Carol?
that?
Hi, Carol. Thank
Good
you.
evening. Thank
Good
you for visiting us in Delaware
I
County.
don't know
Vice
exactly.
President Harris. My question is this. If you could accomplish
political
only
science
one
professor,
major
here's a real
policy
good
goal
one.
that required congressional action,
Straight out of Central
what
Casting.
would it be and why?
Well, there's not just one. I have to be honest with you, Carol. There's a lot of work that needs to
Oh,
happen.
that's a surprise.
But let's. I think that maybe
Jay is
part of
out.
this point.
Jay says
that
vote
how
blue.
I think about it is we've got to get past this era of politics and partisan
Yes.
politics, slowing down what we need to do in terms of progress in our country, and that means working across the aisle. I've done that before. We did it around whether it be what we were able to accomplish with the bipartisan infrastructure deal, or some
Oh,
of
we
the
have
work
another
that we have
special
done in
guest.
terms of
It's going to
dealing
really
with gun
upset
safety.
Jay.
But we've got to work.
Former
across the
President
aisle,
Trump
and
has joined
it
us.
is my commitment to work with Democrats, with Republicans, with
Mr. President, I'm going to turn the volume down on Kamala's answer right
now.
now.
Whether it be what we need to do.
Good. Nobody needs to hear it anyway.
She hasn't called you Hitler yet, but we learned recently that you are Hitler literally. So that's news to all of us. Is this true?
I mean, I don't think it's true, but where are you learning this information? The fake news, I'm sure.
Well, we have the Mitch True show here. Appears to be Team Harris Walls. We got a couple of Harris Walls people in the chat today. Says a vote for you will cost us $4,000 each. Another talking point the activists have been sending out.
All of those areas, I plan on working across the aisle and with Congress,
What does that
including
have
the
to
issue
do
of
with being
immigration,
Hitler?
which we've got to fix.
Apparently,
Let me ask you talked about
their issue isn't
codifying
about Hitler.
Roe
It's
v.
about the
Wade. That would
$4,000 a
obviously
person.
require 60 votes in the Senate, a majority.
Bro,
of the
Ari,
House.
you're in the wrong
That's a
place.
that's
If you
a
don't
big
want
leap.
commentary.
We don't have that yet. If that's not possible to codify
Yeah,
it
you're
in the
definitely
House,
in the wrong place if you don't
What
want
do you do?
MST3K
I think we need to take a look at the
politics.
filibuster, to be honest with you. But the reality of it is this. Let's talk about how we got here.
The silver fox.
When Donald Trump was president,
Well,
he hand-selected 3 members of the
You can
United
go watch
States
the
Supreme Court
CNN stream.
with the
Ari.
intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they
Hi,
did
Trump,
as
by
he
the way.
intended. And now in 20
it's not my
states,
favorite
we have
voice,
Trump
Bobby.
abortion bans that include
Thank you for calling my
punishing
governor a
healthcare
chicken
providers,
shit.
doctors and nurses. In Texas, do you know they provide for prison for life? For a healthcare provider for doing
So
the
what
job
is
that they
this guy
believe is in the
Ari's
best
problem?
interest
He
of their
doesn't like
patient?
fun?
Laws, Trump abortion bans, some that
Okay.
make no exception even for rape or
I'll
incest.
try to lower my mic a little.
One of the
Ari, if
areas
it's too
I
loud.
specialized in as a prosecutor was crimes against women and children. The idea you would tell a survivor of a violation to their body that they have
Who's
no right
Ari
to
and
make
why
a
are you
decision about what
capped out
happens
to
to their
it,
body.
Brad?
No, we have a few
next.
trolls. I don't think
This
Ari's
is what's
one of them.
happening in our country. You all may have heard the stories. Women have died. Women have died because of these laws. And the suffering, I have to say, Anderson,
These stories about
again, I was with Liz Cheney
the
this
women
So
who
it's,
died because
it's
of
medical malpractice
She
every
is
time they bring it
yeah.
up. It's not like,
unapologetically pro-life.
They just lie
And will
about it.
also tell you that she doesn't agree with what's been happening. I find that many people I've met who are pro-life have said to me, you know, I didn't intend that this would happen. I didn't intend that women who are suffering a miscarriage would develop sepsis, as has happened many
Yeah.
times. I didn't intend that women would die. I didn't intend that there would now be restrictions on access to in vitro fertilization. I didn't intend that there would be an effort to limit access to contraception. So, you know, this is
Yeah,
probably
he
one
grew
of the
them on
most
his
fundamental freedoms
Supreme Court justice
that
farm,
we,
handpicked them.
as Americans, could
How did you
imagine,
know
which
about
is
the
the
farm?
freedom to literally make decisions about your own body. And on some issues, I think we've got to agree that partisanship should be put aside. And I'll close with this point. I know it is possible because when you look at the midterms, in so-called red states and so-called blue states, when this issue of freedom was on the ballot, the American people voted for freedom.
This is Leanne Griffiths. She's registered with no party affiliation. She's a student at the University of Pennsylvania. She says she's leaning towards supporting you, has yet to make up a final decision because she isn't sure who's better for the
And she's
economy.
blacker than Kamala.
Hi, Vice President. Girl. Thank you for being here today.
I'm like, hey, girl.
Considering you have been in the position of Vice President for the past 4 years under the Biden administration, how can we expect you to deviate from the direction of that administration compared
She's
to your
cute.
own? How can we differentiate your policy and your beliefs from that of Biden's?
She's probably in
That's
that
a great
secret
question, and
club
thank
with
you.
Whatever, though, that you talk
Well,
about.
The
First of
Divine
all,
Nine? Yeah,
My
probably.
administration will not be a continuation of the Biden administration. I bring to this role my own ideas and my own experience. I represent a new generation of leadership on a number of issues and
She represents
believe that we
the
have to actually
lollipop
take
kids.
new approaches. For example, what we talked about in terms of housing. My experience that leads to that priority includes what I did to take on the big banks around the foreclosure crisis when I brought billions of dollars to homeowners that were the subject of predatory lending. I know what homeownership means to the American people, not to mention what it meant to my mother, who worked very hard.
Who's
and
very
saved
middle
up
class.
so that by the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home. I bring to it my experience actually taking care of my mother when she was sick, and it was, as it turned out, dying from cancer. And so I know what it means
that I
and have
believe
the
that.
experience of taking care of an elderly relative, and I have raised children.
No,
And
she
so I
hasn't.
bring
She hasn't
to
raised children.
My priorities and
hasn't.
will as president a new approach and a new idea, frankly,
like-
about what we need to
That'd
do.
be like
to deal
me
with the
saying I
sandwich
have real
generation,
kids.
Well, they
which
were
is what we call those
adults,
folks
basically,
who are
when they
literally
got
in
married.
the middle, who are raising their young children and taking care of their parents, which is why my plan and approach says, hey, you shouldn't have to wipe out all your savings to qualify for Medicaid to be able to get support to hire somebody to help you cook
If
for
there's
your
cold
parent,
going on,
or
you
help
can't
them
see
put
your
on a
parents
sweater.
every 5
I've done that. I
minutes,
know
so,
what that requires. You shouldn't have to quit your job in order to do the work that is necessary to take care of your children and your parent, because it's overwhelming to try to do it all. And
I
so
want
my
to. I want to
plan
hear
is
more specifics
to
about how she
have and
raised
allow
children.
Medicare
I want to probe into
cover
that.
the cost of home health care for our seniors. These are a couple of examples, including what we talked about
People
in
can't
terms
afford
of
it because
price
the taxes they've been
gouging.
paying. Like,
And
how
what
do
we
they-
need to do in addition, and it's a new approach that I think it's well overdue, let's invest in the small businesses of America.
After we shut them
The
down.
woman who helped raise us was a small business owner. I know who small business
They
owners
hate
are.
small business.
I know
She
what
can't
they
even
do. They are
remember
the
this
backbone of
story.
America's
Like, she was
economy.
trying to
And for too
recall
long,
this
we've overlooked their
origin
value
story they
to the
created of her
economy
with
as
her
a
neighbor
whole,
friend
much less
that
to the
helped to
like
raise
the
her.
art
neighborhoods
here,
and
whatever.
communities. So that's why my plan, and it's a new approach, is about tax cuts for our small businesses, so that they can invest
Where
in
are the
themselves
fact
and
checkers?
grow,
Asked
and in
Grumpy.
the process,
That's a good
invest
question.
in communities, invest in neighborhoods, and strengthen our economy overall. So those are some examples. It's about
I
a
love
new
that
approach, a
grumpy
new
no.
generation of leadership based on new ideas and, frankly, different experiences. I bring a whole set of different experiences to this job and the way I think about it than Joe Biden.
Some voters, though, might ask, you've been in the White House for 4 years. You were vice
Oh,
president, not
there's
the
the
president.
question.
But why wasn't any of that done the last 4 years?
That jacket's too big for
Well,
her.
there was a lot that was done, but
It
there's
is a
more to
little-
do,
little bit.
Anderson. And I'm pointing out
Not-
things
it's
that
not
need to be
tailored.
done, that haven't been done, but need to be
It's a
done.
jacket a woman
And
wears
I'm
when
not
there's
gonna
nothing
shy
on
away from
underneath.
saying, hey, these are still problems that we need to fix.
I want you to meet Jackson Weiss. He's a student at Drexel
hey,
University
Jackson?
from Flourtown, Pennsylvania.
Undecided
Registered
voter.
Republican. Says he's leaning toward voting for you, but is yet to make a
It's
final
all young
decision. Jackson?
kids.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Anderson.
Hey, Jackson.
Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah,
to
this
be
guy,
here
you
today.
can't decide
Thank you.
Trump or Kamala.
Regarding the rapid increase in the migrant population, how will you ensure that every immigrant is integrated into American society safely? What benefits and subsidies
white
will you
kid,
provide them with? And how long
he's
will these
very
benefits and
concerned,
subsidies last for an individual?
according to this.
Most importantly, will the American citizens' taxes pay for these benefits and subsidies? And if so, how
They
much
have
money?
been.
How much money will be allocated?
That was like his first cold
Well,
read of
thank
an
you,
audition
Jackson.
script.
Let's start with this.
There.
America's immigration system is broken and it needs to be fixed. And it's been broken for a long time. And part
That
of
was
what
your
we
one
need
job.
to do is always prioritize what we need to do to strengthen our border. I will tell you, I'm the only person.
See, they should have had somebody
in
with
this
a
race
cat
among the
shirt
two
on asking
choices
about
that voters have.
the immigrants.
I've personally prosecuted transnational criminal organizations in the trafficking of guns.
Nobody,
drugs, and
there's
human
no
beings.
evidence that she's actually
I have
done that.
spent a significant part of my
Transnational
career
criminal organization.
making sure that our border is secure and that we do not allow criminals in and we don't allow that kind of trafficking to happen and come
Good
into our
point,
country.
Nate.
And as my opponent has proven himself, he would prefer to run on the problem instead of fix the problem. You may know there were some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress working with others that came up with a border security bill that would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border. Those border agents are
I had to get more
overwhelmed. They
wine
need
for
the
this.
support.
Go
They
back.
need the backup.
Yeah, all right.
It would have allowed us to have more resources to stem the flow of fentanyl. I don't need to tell this state and people around the country what is happening in terms of the scourge of fentanyl and how it is literally killing Americans. It would have put resources into stemming the flow. It would have given more resources to prosecute, to investigate and prosecute.
You start to wonder what the
transnational
point of
criminal
all
organizations.
these
It would have done a lot of good.
This
Donald
is such a
Trump got
controlled
wind of
event.
the bill
I
and
get the
told
get
them,
out the
"Don't
vote
put it
things
forward.
they do
Kill the
to
bill."
generate, try to
Because
get
he'd
people
prefer to
out,
run
but
on a problem
unless
instead
she's
of
saying
fixing a
anything
problem.
new and she's not,
We have to have a secure
what's the
border.
point of this?
And We have to have a comprehensive pathway for citizenship.
Let me-
And that includes requiring people, hardworking people, to earn citizenship and do it
Cut her
in a
mic.
comprehensive, humane, and orderly manner.
Let me ask you about that. I mean, you talk about the bill that Donald Trump quashed. That was in 2024.
Quashed.
You talk about the bill he tried to get passed in 2021. That wasn't able to get passed. 2022, 2023, there were record border crossings. Your administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up.
It didn't stem the flow like
in
tampon
2024. Just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people.
I'm hoping for a
crossing over.
commercial break
Why
here
didn't your
soon,
administration
J-Dub.
do that in 2022, 2023?
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have.
If there's not a break
cut the flow of
soon, I'll lower it and
immigration
we'll get
by
some
over half. In fact, the
reaction
numbers I
from
saw most
Force Mommy
recently,
and
illegal
Mr. President.
immigration
But if it
is
was
low.
that
But hold
easy
on, let
with
me
that
finish.
executive action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing.
Anderson
We
always does
have
one and
to
both at the same time.
understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional action. Congress has the authority and the purse. I hate to use DC terms, but literally they write the checks. Part of the issue is in order to really fix the problem at the border. I was just at the border recently talking with border agents. You know what they talk about?
Sucking off
yes,
the
they are
border.
overwhelmed. They're working around the clock. And the other thing that they talk to me about, we need more judges down there to deal with asylum claims. We need more personnel.
I
down
want to
there
see
deal
these
with
conversations. Show me
processing.
evidence of these
Anderson, and
conversations.
that's where Congress kicks in
NGOs
terms of
just pick these
dedicating
people
the
up.
resources to
They
actually
really,
fixing
there's
the
videos of
problem.
it. Like,
We have dealt with it.
And she's obviously lying. I mean, we know she lies, and they all lie. But she has this hesitation that she does when she hasn't fully, like an actor who hasn't fully made the script their own. Kamala like pauses when she's about to say some shit that's part of like a script she was given. She hasn't talked to any of these people.
Orders in 2022.
Doug Emhoff would beat the shit out of them if she talked to any of these men at the border.
Can happen for the American people is that we have bipartisan work happening, and I pledge to you that I will work across the aisle to fix this long-standing problem. I think the American people
She'll work across the aisle.
demanding it on both sides of the aisle.
Vandercunt,
and it's
says
time
Chris
we
Moore.
actually put the partisan approach to this aside.
Do what for us, Mommy?
I said she'll give them more money and like, it's so
Yeah,
messed
get in
up.
line. You know, with Zelensky, Israel. We give everybody money.
Republicans wanted. That was part of the compromise.
You know, my solution to the border wall, to the problem is you make the border wall, you make it completely out of, well, what are those things called? I forget what they're called now. The fleshlights. It's a border wall made of completely fleshlights, and the immigrants that have self-control will come in and contribute, and the ones that don't will be at the border fucking the wall. Then you
know,
harvest
Brad,
the semen.
I have a similar solution, but it's a little different.
Yeah.
But
Which mine is, as we know, Mexican food is wonderful. It's delicious. I love it. But they don't have much variety in Mexico.
Yeah.
So what I propose to do is we fill up AC-130s with fast food, pizza, and we airdrop food across the border. And
Yeah.
they'd have more choice and more selection. And that's going to stall a lot of this migration.
So you think a better selection of
process for it.
restaurants?
Yeah, I mean, variety in food.
And
that's
the
one
point
thing
that I think
we've
is the
got
most
en
important
masse
point that
here.
can be made.
So Mitch, true. I'm sorry to see you go. Mitch says we're the most uninformed political commentary show. Mitch,
The Homeland Security guy too, because the Homeland Security is what's giving billions of dollars to the NGOs to move these people in and put them in slums and stuff. So
To fix the problem,
I'm glad I
you're-
don't work
You're
for
doing this
Homeland
compromise bill. It does call for $650
I'm glad to see
that
that
was earmarked
Mitch
under
goes.
Trump
There's only
to
one
actually
Mitch
still
I
go to
really
build a
like.
wall.
I'm not afraid of good ideas.
Yeah, I like Mitch
So
Armstrong
you don't think
too.
it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do
Look at
much
her.
of anything. I just talked about that wall.
She's
right?
getting
We just
pissed.
talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
You harvest the semen, by
I
the way,
want
from
to
the
strengthen
fleshlights, and you
our
feed the
border.
homeless with it. That's two problems.
This is Annalise
solved.
Keene. She's from Philadelphia. She works as a fundraiser for Habitat for Humanity. She's registered with no
Yeah,
party
it's-
affiliation.
I think
She
it's in
says
line
she's a
with
Democrat.
the
She's leaning
AC
toward voting for
130
you,
fast food
but says she's
drop-offs.
yet to make her final decision in part because of the conflict in the Middle East.
That looks
Annalise?
like Doug
Thank you,
Emhoff's
and
daughter
good
in
evening, Madam Vice
disguise.
President.
Good evening.
My question is, as president,
for
what would you
nonprofits,
do to
right?
ensure
Yeah.
not another
Yeah.
Palestinian dies due to bombs being funded by U.S. tax dollars?
So
That's a hard question to
I will
answer.
say, and
I'll
I
give
think
her that.
this is to your point, far too many innocent Palestinian civilians have been killed. It's unconscionable.
Paul.
And we are now at a place where with Sinwar's death, I do believe we have an opportunity to end this war,
Sinmar.
bring the hostages
It's like a
home,
Star Trek villain.
bring relief to the Palestinian people, and work toward a two-state solution where Israel and the Palestinians in
You
equal
think-
measure have
you think
security,
Sinmar would
where the
be a
Palestinian people
Klingon?
have dignity, self-determination, and the safety
what
that
are
they
the
so
ones
rightly
that
deserve.
are
What
opposite
do
of
you
the
say to
vote?
voters who are thinking about supporting a third-party candidate or staying on the couch, not voting at
Don't
all
do that.
because of
Don't
this
do
issue?
that.
Listen, I am not going to deny the strong feelings that people have. I don't know that anyone who has seen the images who would not have strong feelings about what has happened, much less those who have relatives who have
Can you just ask
died
about third party
and
stuff?
been
What is
killed.
she
And I
talking about?
know people and have talked with people. So I appreciate that. But I also do know that for many people who care about this issue, they also care about bringing down the price of groceries. They also care about our democracy and not having a president of the
It's
United
just
States who
another
admires
campaign
dictators
speech
and is a fascist. They
that's
also care about the fact that
communicated
we need
through
practical, common
a
sense
different
solutions from a leader who is
medium
willing to work
with
across
a gay
the
Vanderbilt
aisle
facilitating
on behalf
it.
of the American people and not themselves. They want a president who cares about a fundamental freedom.
How
to
much
make
you want for
decisions
that
about
vote,
their own
Stoner?
body. Understanding that we're not trying to change anyone's belief, but let's not have the government telling women what to do with their body.
Can you ask about
I
third
want you to
party
meet Beth
candidates?
Sandberg.
What
She's
is
a
she
realtor, a
talking
mom of
about?
4 from Ballackinwood, Pennsylvania. She's a registered Democrat.
I don't know. I
Says
wanna-
she's
I wanna know what she has
undecided
to say
because of
about Chase
concerns about
Oliver.
anti-Semitism. Beth?
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you,
Thank
Beth.
you for remembering we need to bring the hostages home.
Yeah.
course.
Thank you for
The
remembering
rise
that
of
eyeshadow,
anti-Semitism
lady.
and
Oh,
violence
a
from-
realtor,
The rise
great.
of anti-Semitism and violence from
A realtor.
anti-Semitism has risen
Did
greatly
you know,
on
like, a
college
broke-
campuses
there's brokers?
and on our city streets in the last
Yeah,
year.
she's full of
How would you
shit.
combat this growing
Realtors pay
trend
money
and
to be
protect
part of
our
this
young adults?
association, makes you a realtor.
Thank
in
you,
their
Beth.
comments.
You are right, and I will
Her name
say
is
that
Beth?
we
She
have
doesn't look
seen
like a
rise
Beth
in
to me.
Anti-Semitism. It is something that we have to be honest about.
Oh, the
and we have
rise
to
in
do it. As
anti-Semitism.
Attorney
That's why
General,
Doug Emhoff
I actually published a hate crimes
is
report,
there.
on a regular basis, and anti-Semitism was among the highest forms of hate in our country, and this was before October 7th.
This is the hate report she published.
And we know what we've seen since. Part of what we've got to do is talk with people so that they understand what are the tropes, what are the roots
That's
of what
such
we
a
are
weird
seeing,
looking suit.
so that we can actually have people
I like that.
be
so
more
much.
understanding. We need to have laws in place that make those
Hate
who would
speech
commit
laws.
crimes
What-
on behalf of anti-Semitism and hate, that they pay a serious consequence. We need to have the deterrence so that doesn't
Usually
happen.
crimes
We
have
need
a
to ensure
consequence for
that
crime.
college students are safe.
There's
in
already
their
crimes
work
for
Chris-
illegal
and
activity.
feel safe to be able to go to class. But I'm going to tell you what doesn't help.
What about unvaccinated
Again,
kids
I
at
invite
colleges?
you
Huh?
to listen and go
Not
online
unless
to
they're
listen to John
Jewish.
Kelly
And there's been
the former
hate
chief of
speech
staff
committed against them.
of
That made
Donald
me
Trump,
so mad.
who has told us Donald
He's
Trump
Hitler.
said why essentially why
He said,
aren't
"I'm
my
Hitler."
generals like those of Hitler's, like
Dumb
Hitler,
bitch.
who has referred several times. We've heard the reports for years.
Do you believe Donald Trump is anti-Semitic?
I believe Donald Trump is a danger to the well-being and security
He'll,
of America.
he'll kill his
He
grandchildren
has said that
first.
he's casting himself as a
Shit, there's
protector of
pictures him
Israel.
kissing the wall.
Do you believe you would
I
be more
know. He
pro-Israel
totally.
than
It's
Donald
so
Trump?
retarded.
I believe that Donald Trump is dangerous. I believe that when you have a president of the United States who has said to his generals who work for him because he is commander in chief These conversations, I assume many of them
Biden
took
said
place
he's
in the
sending
Oval Office.
F-15s after us, or F-16s
And if
after
the
us.
president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, is saying to his generals,
F-18.
in essence, why can't you be more
Thank you,
like
Mr.
Hitler's
President.
generals? Anderson? Come on.
Come on,
This
Anderson.
is a serious, serious
What
issue.
if he just means
And
with
we
their
know
hygiene? What if they were very
who he is?
clean?
He admires dictators, sending love letters back and forth with Kim Jong-un.
No, I'm talking about the grandchildren. I don't know about his
The
kids,
reports are that in the
but
height of COVID,
one of his stepsons
when
is Jewish.
most Americans
so
could not get their hands
his grandchildren are
on
at
a
least
COVID
part Jewish.
test. Americans were dying by the hundreds a day. He secretly sent COVID tests to the president of Russia for his personal use. So
He did. He
again,
saved Putin from COVID.
This election in
And
13
you guys
days
are
is
all
presenting the
traveling
American
around when
people
we were locked down. Like, what
with
is
a
what
very
is this?
significant
They're gonna
decision.
He sent COVID a
And on
PCR
the one
test to
side, on
shove up
this
his
issue
nose.
of
It doesn't
who
even
is
work.
going to model what it means to use the bully pulpit of the President of the United States in a manner that in tone, word, and deed is about lifting up our discourse, fighting against
You're
hate,
lifting up.
as
Go
opposed to
high, you go
fanning the
high, and they
flames
go
of
low.
hate, which Donald Trump does consistently.
You just called him
I'm going to
Hitler.
tell you,
That's hateful.
we are an incredible country, and we love our country. Y'all wouldn't be here unless we love our country.
Yeah, we love it.
And there are certain things where we've just got to come together
It's gross.
and realize that we do believe in the importance of healthy debate on real issues, but there are certain standards we've got to have.
We got to stop Hitler.
And, another point that even John Kelly talked about, I believe, and many have, is January 6th.
Oh, of
where
course.
you have
Thank
the
you.
President of the United States
Been so worried about that.
defying the will of the people in a free and fair election and unleashing a violent mob who attacked
Look up the word
United States
cunt in the
Capitol.
dictionary.
140 law
It
enforcement
says, Chris.
officers
They were
were
so
attacked.
violent.
Some were
They were
killed.
so violent. With
And so
no
I
guns
say
or
that to
anything and just
say
walking around.
the
they
American people
violently
deserve to
stayed
have a
within the
president
ropes.
who encourages healthy
One of them got
debate,
shot.
works
Stone, are
across
you
the
out?
aisle, not
They
afraid of
were-
good ideas wherever they come from, but also maintains certain standards about how we think about the role and the responsibility, and certainly not comparing oneself in a clearly admiring way to Hitler.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll have more from the CNN
thank
presidential town
goodness.
hall with Vice President Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. Doesn't it sound like they've been calling her Kamala Harris?
A little bit. I want Trump to talk.
Mr. President?
I mean, like all this comparison to Hitler's absolutely ridiculous. It's the fascism and the corporations that pushed all the mandates during the COVID lockdowns.
What would you say, though, who said you were all about Operation Warp Speed? Some people have some issues with you on that, Mr. President.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, Brad. I had to do what I had to do at the time.
Yeah, but you're not Hitler, you're saying.
No, I'm most certainly not Hitler. I think comparing people to Hitler is a ridiculous and dangerous statement to make.
Do you think Kamala Harris is like Hitler?
I think that they've got a big propaganda machine that the entire fake media is behind.
So, yes, you believe she is Hitler-like.
Did Hitler pass a primary? Did Hitler get primaried into a spot, or did they just kind of put him in? Didn't they kind of just like...
I think he was a black woman who just got put in, if I recall
If
correctly.
I had to compare Kamala to anybody, it would be the Martha Wayne Joker from the Flashpoint Paradox.
You have so much cultural knowledge, Mr. President. You'll have to explain that Joker to us.
Well, there was the Flash wanted to save his mother, which we all do. If I could, I'd save my mother, and I'm sure any of you would too.
Your mother had interesting hair.
And so he went back in time to save his mother, and it caused a rift in the space-time continuum, causing an alternate reality in which when he came back, everything had changed. Bruce Wayne was the victim of Joe Chill's.
So, are you saying that this is the flashpoint in
What I
times
believe
reality
is
we're in?
when they turned on the CERN machine, that it started things like the Mandela effect and multiple. We're dealing with the crisis of multiple Earths right
So
now.
you're like the Flash in this scenario, trying to get everything back correct again. I presume.
Well, the Flash isn't my favorite, but we could I could take on that mantle. Yeah.
What are the Odessa files? You guys know anything about those?
I don't
Why
know.
don't you enlighten me?
I don't know. I'm looking them up. Looks like a television show called The Odessa File. Following the suicide of an elderly Jewish man, investigative journalist Peter Miller sets out to hunt down the SS captain and former concentration camp commander. In doing so, he discovers that despite the allegations of war crimes, the former commander had become a man of importance in the industry post-war Germany and protected from prosecution by powerful organization of former SS members called Odessa. I haven't seen that show or movie. It's a movie from 1974, a thriller drama. Didn't they just bring the Nazis over here and do, what was it, Operation Paperclip?
Yeah, not in NASA and all that. They're
Project
everywhere.
Paperclip.
Yeah. Starring Sinbad. Shazam starring Sinbad. Never forget that one as well. Also a very Nazi-themed film, if I recall correctly.
If Trump is Hitler, can I be Eva?
Oh, all right. Here we go.
I mean, I've already got my Eva Braun.
You turning down Force, mommy, Mr. President?
I mean, my wife has got to be my Eva Braun.
I'll take care of Melania.
Look, Brad, we talked about this. I got to be well and gone before you can take care.
Come on, Mr. President. Just give me a shot at her.
It's got to be this way, Brad.
So this headline, they're about to come. This headline here that they had on there in Drudge. So it had Trump, and you see where it has like the quote, Hitler did some good things, which is the claim that's made that's disputed. But then it has down here, blame the Jews if I lose. And you click on that and go read the article. Nowhere in that article does it say anything about blaming Jews if I lose. Drudge just made that up and put that in this ridiculous. I thought this was
that
a
way,
joke.
probably. Like they feel that way, probably.
Yeah, I thought that
guess.
was satire because
I thought it was satire. I really thought it was satire that somebody made up a fake. I thought it was hilarious when I saw it. I still think it's hilarious.
They said that Joe Rogan's one of the most evil men on earth. He's made it up to my level.
Yeah, he's around the same height as Hitler was. You know what that means.
Yeah, he's got a similar shaped face too.
So sibling rivalry, Mr. President says, how do we get to the moon? Good old-fashioned white supremacy, except for those black chicks that did the math or something. And that's true. We do. Are there black chicks that do math? Can Kamala
I didn't
do
know
math?
Nazis were black women, but that's cool.
Do you pray every
You
day?
know Hitler
I do pray
loves
every
some
day.
black chicks.
I do pray every day. Sometimes
Oh, she
twice a
prays
day.
every day.
I grew
After
up.
she told those Christians they were at the wrong
grew
rally.
Up,
Yeah,
in a neighborhood church in Oakland.
There was a newspaper
23rd
yesterday
Avenue
that
Church of
said
God,
something about
and,
Trump said she was lazy, and they're like,
I was
he said she
raised-
was lazy because she's
Because he's
black.
racist. Yeah, right.
He's like, what?
To believe that your faith is a verb. Your
faith is a verb. Put that on a
you
shirt.
live your faith.
Your faith is a
and
verb.
And that the way that one should do that is that your work and your life's work should be to think about how you can serve in a way that is uplifting other people, that is about caring for other people, and that guides a lot of how I think about my work and what is important.
Okay, it's a very
let's go to the voters.
answer
I want you to
nobody
meet,
believes there.
Joe
But
Donahue.
quick comment here from Wild Bill. Paperclip is the news headline operation. Operation Bloodstone is where the work got done. If anybody wants to look into that.
Stance on abortion, but he is
Sounds
concerned
like
about what he calls Trump's
Treadstone and,
demeanor. and
Look at this
actions on
cuck about to
January
ask a
6th.
question.
Thank you, Madam Vice President, and thank you, Anderson. Madam Vice President, everybody as human beings, we're not perfect. We have our flaws. We make mistakes.
Joe Donahue.
We have our weaknesses. And the office of the presidency can sometimes bring those weaknesses out in ways that the incumbent may not
This
expect.
guy's an activist, you can tell.
What weaknesses do you bring to the table, and how do you plan to overcome them while you're in office?
I spit.
That's a great question,
I spit.
Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect. So let's start there. And I think that perhaps a weakness, some would say, but I actually think it's a strength, is I really do value having a team of very smart people around me who bring to my decision-making process
Who thinks that that's
different
a weakness?
perspectives.
That's her answer to weakness.
My team will tell you I am constantly saying, let's kick the tire on that. Let's kick the
Let's
tires
suck the
on it."
dick on that. Let's suck the dick on
Because
that.
listen, as I mentioned earlier, I started my career as a prosecutor.
Dick
I was
sucker.
a courtroom prosecutor.
Cocksucker, courtroom cocksucker.
I've tried everything from low-level offenses to homicides.
Bondage.
And I learned at a very early stage of my career and adult life that my actions have a direct impact on real people in a very fundamental way. When I was Attorney General of California, I was Attorney General of what is the 5th largest economy in the world.
Come to me.
And acutely aware that my words could move markets.
And my
So
tongue.
I take my role
prison
and
labor.
responsibility as an elected leader very seriously. And I know the impact it has on so many people I may never meet. And that is why I
But I will
engage and
blow.
bring
Sweet Cheek
folks
says, I
around.
want them
So
to
I
fear
may
how
not be
much they
quick to
love
have
me.
the answer as soon as you ask it about a specific policy issue sometimes, because I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to
Didn't say
want to
any-
study
didn't
it.
say any weakness.
I'm kind of a nerd.
No, her
sometimes.
weakness is that she surrounds herself by good people.
And some might call that a weakness,
She says.
especially if you're, in an interview or just kind of,
Let me
being asked a certain question and
None
you're
of these
expected to have the
things
right
that-
answer.
How do you
right
not
away,
have-
But
weaknesses?
that's how I. That's
What
how
would
I-
you say your weakness is, Mr. President?
Let poontang, Brad.
Don't. Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4
Thank
years
you, Stoner.
that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes, and they range from if you've ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes.
You haven't parented a child.
In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and
get
feel
like
compelled
this
to answer a
without, like-
question.
She can't even come up with a mistake she made. Mr. President,
Who was she on the red
mistake.
carpet with? Was it LL Cool J?
It was Montel Williams.
Are you asking a mistake? I
Yeah,
made
tell us a mistake that you've made, Mr. President.
I mean, I'd say Project Warp Zone.
That's a good answer right there, Mr. President. I wish you would give that more often.
Another
She's been-
realtor. So when I go to these little meetings around Colorado,
when you
they
talk
always
about
bring
rich people
realtors, and I'm
paying
like,
their fair share,
if you're a realtor,
can you be
you're a
more
small business
specific?
owner who doesn't want high
Income taxes are
it's-
already on a graduated
They have these
scale,
stupid people in
where
the
the more you
the
make, the higher
Realtor
percentage you're paying
Association is a
taxes.
communist
So the rich are
association.
paying a
FYI.
disproportionate
Don't
Yeah.
hire
amount in
realtors,
taxes
hire
as it
regular
is.
brokers.
Yeah, absolutely.
40% of Americans don't pay any income
Yeah,
taxes.
but a lot of realtors are
Also,
completely
the
full
really
of
high
shit, like
earners
Pam
You're more
Thistle here.
ethical
their
because you
money
pay
offshore
$800 a
if
year to
there
this
are
association. No, you're
disincentives
not
in the
more
U.S.
ethical.
This could impact the economy. I would like to hear more.
I
nuts
wish
and
one
bolts
person
about
would
your
not read
economic
their
plans.
question
Sure,
from a
thank
card.
You, Pam. So first of all, it is
My
the case
realtor is
in the United
actually a
States of
Trump
America
supporter,
that
so-
billionaires on average pay less taxes as a
There's good
percentage
realtors on both
than
sides.
teachers.
I
and
think our
firefighters
gummy's
and
kicking
nurses.
in or
I'm talking
something.
about hard workers like pound the street, have some success.
Yes, no. I
Did you
understand,
say
but I wanna
pound the
just-
street?
Let's
Not
set
the
the
really high.
Let's
she's
set the
talking
scene,
back.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I say that
I think they're gonna
the richest
fuck.
among us need to pay their fair share,
Okay.
I am referencing
Is she
that.
wearing
and I need
garlic
to reference that because sadly,
necklace around her
Donald
neck?
Trump, when he was president, gave tax cuts to the richest, to billionaires
the
and big
Maybe she's
corporations,
worried that
which
those
added
vampires
trillions
on
of
the left
dollars to our
will attack.
deficit.
It does look like she's
So
trying to
that
prevent a
sadly
vampire attack.
needs to be said in a way that should be obvious to your point. but is not given what he did. Now, in terms of what we need to do to bring down taxes, I have pledged and have a plan for a middle-class tax cut that would affect 100 million Americans, including, for example, what we will do around small businesses in terms of tax deductions, in terms of what small businesses are now being mired in terms of a bureaucracy around they have to fill out and do their taxes in a way that actually holds them back. Part of my plan includes extending a middle-class tax cut that would include a $6,000
The problem with her is that she doesn't understand the script that she's recalling.
For parents and young parents in particular. Knowing that the vast majority of our parents have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not
You get an
always the
audition script that's like
so
a
this is going to include
doctor
an
role,
extra
speaking doctor
amount of
language.
just money
You're going to do a little better in the
people can
audition
use
if
to
you
pay for childcare,
research a little
which is
bit
far too expensive
to
for
know what
too
the hell it
many
means
working
that
families.
you're talking about. She
And
doesn't know what she's
part of
talking
the issue
about.
here
No.
is
She's just
this.
She's never run a
We
business.
cannot,
No,
and I will not
she's never
raise
done her own
taxes on
taxes.
anyone making less than $400,000 a year. But we do need to take seriously the system that benefits the richest and does not help out.
I
working
love that
middle-class
she's
Americans.
keeps
I come
talking
from the
about how
middle
she's a
class,
mother who's
and I
raised kids.
believe
I want to
that
hear
the
more of
middle class
that.
needs tax breaks. To
Yeah,
be
she
able to
seemed
actually
she
not
seemed
just
like
get
she was
by, but
okay
get
at
ahead.
first,
So you're saying-
grumpy, but she seems like
what
she's
you-
starting
what
to
you're
get a
saying is
little
anyone under
loopy to me.
400,000
Yeah,
won't
she's
have
from
taxes
uppers to
raised, or are you saying
downers
that
now.
Yeah,
people above
right.
400,000 will have a tax raise?
I'm saying that there is going to be a parity around what the richest people pay in terms of
parity?
their taxes.
It's going to be hilarious.
Right now, Anderson, you know, the document, it is well documented. that some of the
I
richest
was
people
telling
in
my
our
kids this
country
the other
have
day,
gotten away
Anderson.
with a zero tax rate.
But if you're earning $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 under your plan, there's a good chance your taxes go up.
We can't have this conversation.
You know,
without
Anderson's a
knowing
new
what-
father.
It's a very complicated situation, right? If you're talking about a
He's
small
got like a
business owner,
2 or 3 year old.
I'm going to cut taxes for small businesses, right? Because I know that they need
You won't, and
the
it's local
overhead, the
governments
money
that do
that they
that
need for
anyways,
overhead to
not
actually
you,
benefit
like-
the growth of their business, which benefits
night,
our
Grumpy.
economy as a whole.
Now you're
Let's go
happy.
to actually, I want to reference something that about
Good
Pam.
night,
Pam,
Grumpy,
Richard
wherever
Rose
you
and Steve
are.
died a year ago. You've talked about your mom, Shamala Harris, who died 15 years ago. What has grief been like for you? Do you still grieve?
Yeah, you don't stop grieving. You don't stop grieving. I mean,
Just
Do you
like she with
still
her
grieve?
Kids. Her kids won't stop grieving from her.
I think
Right.
that
Yeah,
there is,
she
you
raised
know,
him.
There are like two sides to a coin when you have lost somebody you love. And
That's
or that
human,
two
I
sides
think.
to a coin, that phrase becomes evident, which is if you have had the blessing of a close and important relationship with someone, then when you have the other side of the coin is that when you lose them, the grief becomes even deeper. But I also believe that,
It's
for
hard when you
example,
lose your
anyone who
parents,
has
yes,
lost
like, who is
a
that?
family member through cancer or an illness. My mother
Yeah, what's the
died
angle
from
here?
cancer. It is important to try and remember them as they lived and not as they died, because the grief can really weigh you down. I think the brain has a way of, when you're grieving,
Yeah, you
really
remember them as they died,
spiraling
though.
down, and it's
Then
important, I
you
think, to try and remember
you remember the
those
struggle they
you've
went
lost in a way they'd want to be remembered, as being vibrant, and I think it's important to just to.
So they're doing this angle where they're trying to make it sound like she was a caretaker for her mom while she was the Attorney General of California. I noticed this creeping in.
When did her mother die? Do we know?
15 years ago.
Okay.
And
yeah, she didn't do nothing.
said
If
that
anything, hired
because she's
her.
told these stories about going in and doing all this stuff, and as someone who's done that, I just lost my thing there. Hold on a second. Who's done that? She doesn't seem to be telling the truth about some of the. She doesn't seem to know. Like I said, she seems to be recalling a script and not speaking from actual experience that she's recalling from memory. And it's probably hard to be a caretaker.
Never talk to her again.
Right. But she's from the middle class, though. And she's a middle class working mom, worked at McDonald's, who raised kids. And she was a caretaker for her mom while being the Attorney General for California. Kamala is so bad at owning the story they wrote for her. And that's what a lot of these people are. Stacey Abrams, AOC. They have their real life story, and then they have these branding stories that this is what you're going to tell people. It is 99% bullshit. She's the worst one I've ever seen at telling that fake branding story, because you can tell she doesn't even believe it herself, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mr. President, you there? What do you think?
You know, I worked at McDonald's for a day.
How was that? Yeah.
You made so many people happy. You made everyone have a good day that day. Everyone was so happy.
Unfortunately, you caused an Ebola breakout at McDonald's across the country. So,
isn't that suspect? Do you think that's suspect? Because even they're like, no, it's no. There is that just happens to some extent. It's
the
just
next day
amount.
that comes out, there's 10 states and people are dying from Ebola.
Someone died in Colorado.
It's
apparently.
probably the deep state, you know.
Yeah. Well, the CDC released it. I don't know if they have actually linked it to the McDonald's. They're saying that some of the people ate Big Macs. You were only delivering fries.
Quarter pounders, but then
Quarter
it was
pounders,
apparently from onions, but just on quarter pounders. And I'm like, they don't just.
But not the other burgers. Yeah. We just all the other burgers are safe. The quarter pounders, though, you know.
It's also fake.
And then we found out that the McDonald's you worked at, Mr. President, apparently failed a health inspection back in March, and the reason they failed was because the employees were seen cooking without wearing mask or on their hand, not mask, gloves on their hands.
On their hands.
Yeah, and then Mediaite said that they're reaching out to find out if you were wearing gloves on your hands or mask on your hands because they didn't see you with them on when you were on video, and so they're worried that you might be contributing. Is this true? Are you poisoning the fries?
I was not, Brad. I was very sterile that day. It was like
You're very sterile.
Laboratory.
Yeah. The McDonald's was like a sterile laboratory.
And it wasn't staged. Either.
It was real. How did you get that job? How long was the application
for it?
Yeah. So did you have to do a couple interviews?
Did a few interviews.
They're at a commercial break right now, by the way. Yeah.
Did a few interviews. Had to spend a few days learning how to deep fry the French fries.
Yeah.
I don't apply the salt. You know, I usually have somebody do my cooking for me, or even picking up my McDonald's.
Did you have a drug test? Force Mommy asked.
I'd pass the drug test with flying colors, but no, I didn't have to go through a drug test.
No, they don't require that there?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's a good thing. All right.
Did you see that kid who was standing next to the younger dude who was just they were beaming. These people were so happy to have Trump there doing this. It was.
He had another rally today in Georgia, in Duluth, and I know some people that were there documenting it, and it's a full arena, seats thousands of people were turned away. The atmosphere, whether you like Trump or not, there's no denying that his events draw crowds that even if they don't get in, they stay outside and party afterwards. And there's vendors selling weird, funny shit, and there's protesters, like a dozen of them that come up that are ridiculous every time. You go to Kamala's rallies, and there's nothing there, which, by the way, Kamala's going to be here in Georgia again tomorrow with Tyler Perry and President Obama in DeKalb County, where I believe you are right now, Mr. President.
Is Tyler Perry coming as Medea?
Oh, God, I hope so. I hope so.
How obvious.
Medea does the election. Oh, my God, that'd be so funny.
In a super black area.
Heller. Yeah, I was in a Tyler Perry show. He directed me in a television show.
Yeah.
He was nice to me. I'm a little surprised he's speaking for Kamala, actually.
Well, if he got paid, I'm sure he's getting paid.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care. These people don't care.
Usher. Eminem, who also pretends to be black.
Right? Oh, he looks so dorky and what the heck happened to that guy?
Smile, Eminem. You're successful, you know?
These people. Although whatever, yeah. I might sell my soul too if I got a couple mil or something. I don't know. I can't judge them too much because it doesn't affect them. They're super rich, so nothing really affects them anyway.
These people don't know. She's never been to a fucking grocery store in her life.
No. With her She was but she has a mom and a dad. Wasn't she raised by a mom and a dad? They're both professors or whatever.
I think, yeah, I think so. I think they were activists.
Yeah.
Civil rights. These people's parents are all civil rights activists. Like Stacey Abrams' parents ran the same Black Panther circles as Jesse Smollett's parents. And they all knew each other. Like Stacey Abrams got accepted to an art high school, actually it was a high school, as an actress before she switched to politics at that school. It's all...
Yeah, they found him like AOC too. They found her, like she says she was all poor and stuff, but she went to like a private high school or whatever, and they found her there. And then
I'd love to try and turn her, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, she does like white men. She likes white men,
right? But he's like gay white men though, so she have to change that.
I've told you I have a friend who's a judge, and I'm always like suspicious she's part of all that stuff because she has a white husband and.
Oh, really? She's Black and she has a white husband?
Yep. This is her second white husband, actually.
Well, once you go white, you know.
I don't know, but then she was a private lawyer, and then she became a attorney for the city, and then she wanted to be a judge so bad. And then I saw an article where like she was on the list for who's the Kentucky Brown that's on the Supreme
right.
Court. She was like the list for one of their and I was like, and I unfriended her I was told her, I'm like, I can't be friends with you after COVID because I'm like, you're there, you know, this is wrong. What's going
I know
on?
some people like that too that are lawyers. One of them might be a judge now, but that ran for office here, and I met them, and I'm like, they're good people, but I'm like, I don't know that. Do you know what the people you're involved with right now are?
That's how it was with and she was practicing magic and stuff, and then all of a sudden
she was practicing magic.
Yes.
Now that's suspicious,
right? That's what I was thinking.
They become a judge. Am I frozen right now?
You're back now. You're back. I wasn't sure if I was going to be back though.
So a comment here about her husband. That screen keeps going on like it always does, but her father, not her husband. Her father, Kamala Harris, was kicked out. Says Denver. And there's a weird story about that and the whole divorce thing. And her dad, was it her grandparent, not her dad, but her grandparents that were slave owners?
Probably.
Something like that.
Probably.
And she's a Divine Nine member. All these Divine Nine members are everywhere right now.
It's like Illuminati or, the Masons and all that stuff. It's like this stuff is real. Like all these people who are connected, and from different groups like that.
Right. The Black Freemason. I mean, I've been talking about the Kamala Harris Knights Templar story for years now, before I even knew about the Divine Nine stuff.
Yeah. It's real.
When's Trump coming to Colorado to sign Stoner's man boobs, Mr. President? Can you answer that?
I don't have that itinerary yet on me, but if he sends me a picture of them, I'll sign them.
All right. Well, you'll sign any titties put in your face.
That is true.
The Trump rally here in Colorado had people so pumped, and it was so fun because I know so many people nowadays, and like I called into a radio station with some guys who were down there, and like it's so fun to they said Forest Mommy. They're like, oh, Forest Mommy, blah blah blah. Like,
they knew who you were?
Yes, they're like, oh, I follow you on Twitter. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's so fun nowadays out here. Like I love it.
Look at this person. This is an undecided voter, we're told. It's this person here.
We can't. Is the screen up? We can't see the screen.
Oh wait, yeah, you can't see it, so you don't know what this person looks like. Here it is.
Like one of the nonprofit people who are putting immigrants in slums, probably.
That the American people increasingly are losing confidence in the Supreme Court.
I think she works corrections at a prison.
Part because of the behavior of certain members of that court,
lesbians,
including the Dobbs decision and taking away
the Dobbs decision
that had been in place for 50 years, protecting a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. So I do believe that there should be some kind of reform of the court, and
they love that abortion issue.
Like.
They love
it. It's a magic word. It's like a spell. It's a magical word, I swear.
Understand that, again, in 13 days, the American people
I
will
found a
decide who is the
nonprofit
next
out
president of the
here.
United States.
You know, the word
In
doula
13
is to
days,
help,
you
like
will decide who
they
is
help
sitting in the
babies,
Oval
like be
Office on
born,
January
and they
20th.
there's a Colorado
And on
doula
one
project that's
hand,
just
you have a
abortions.
Donald
It's just
Trump,
abortion
someone
doulas
who has
apparently,
Yeah.
increasingly
and it's
proved
government
himself
funded too. It's like
They should just bring in people. They should get you pregnant and abort, like one-stop shop.
boom.
Somebody who
I said
on January
I will
20th,
vote for
sure,
Kamala.
will spend
I want
full
to take
time
the
like we
abortion
know, and
pill
they've
as
seen
I
the
vote
image
for Kamala.
mentally of him sitting in the dining room.
Now, what
of
I
the
wanted to
Oval
ask
Office,
at this event we were
watching
going
for
to go
hours
to is
as people violently attacked
which
the Capitol.
we went
You
to the
can
wrong
be
event,
sure
but I
because
wanted to
he
ask
said he would
how
weaponize
how
the
fast
Department of
would
Justice to
you
go after
get
his
to the
political
clinic to get an
enemies.
abortion if
You
Roe was
can look at a
reinstated?
Donald Trump
I would
in
be
the
there
White House
immediately.
after January 20th,
And
sitting in that Oval Office, plotting his revenge. He
Colorado's
has
got
talked
some
about the
weird stuff
enemies
going on with it too.
within.
That's
We
crazy.
haven't even raised that
Do
subject,
what?
Anderson.
So
The
Colorado, you can
enemies
abort your baby up
within.
until the day it's
He's
born,
talking about the
basically.
American
Like it's,
people.
but it's not on our Colorado
He's talking about
Constitution. We have a
journalists,
ballot initiative to put it on our
judges,
Colorado Constitution that you can do that in case Trump says you can't do it, then Colorado would be separate. But they also put not telling parents when minors do it. You can't protest it anymore, like and to pay for it with public funds. Like it's so wild. They're so obsessed with abortion.
So up until the day of birth, they want to make it. They want to. The mom and dad can't find out. They just think their kids gain weight.
Any questions, you can abort.
It's taxpayer-funded murder at the day of birth. So is that what Trump talks about when he talks about? They say it's illegal up until the point of birth. Is that the state, or was it?
Yeah, there's a handful. Like Colorado's one of them, and they brag about the abortion tourism and stuff like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they could do like one of those high museum of art experiences where it's like the abortion experience. You can, or the horror, the haunted houses that you can go to and actually be tortured there.
Christians were doing that.
Yeah.
One of
should
them
do it.
is
Again.
as Attorney
Why is it all these
General
young
of
people?
California
It's all
created,
young people.
what I named
Yeah, look at this.
the Bureau of Children's Justice.
They want to. They want to try. They select
So you
these
may be
people to
familiar
try
with
and
that
make
as
it
a
look like
Californian,
certain
and it was
demographics are
because I
leaning
believe
towards
that, frankly,
Kamala
we still have
to
a
make
lot
you
to
feel
do
okay.
in terms
Oh,
of
that person's
policy that
like
impacts
me.
children.
I can now
And
go
an
vote for
investment
Kamala
in
because I'm not the only
children
one.
Of our country is an investment in all of us and our future.
Virginia
And that
and
work
Governor
has
Northam.
actually
That's right.
produced
Frightening.
significant results. That has been a proud moment for me. It was a proud moment for me to do the work that we've been doing that has addressed issues like maternal mortality.
To
I mean,
raise
it's a response to an
two
incredible
kids has been the
tragedy,
proudest
but
moment.
lifting up that issue in a way that we agree.
He looks like a
America should
Saved
not
by
have
the
one
Bell
of the highest
extra
maternal
system.
mortality rates in the world. So I have had the good fortune of
sucking
in my
Willie
life
Brown
as a public servant, knowing the impact that we can have. And I guess that is probably what
I'm sure the
motivates me
maternal
most, 'cause I know we
mortality
can make a
issue
difference.
doesn't
I really
anything
do.
tied to the
And
you know
I
what
do believe that the
that
American
was
people
mandated
deserve
to a lot
a
of people.
president who's going to be hardworking and, will make mistakes
Oh
from
yeah,
time to
fighting
time.
man did. They all said
But it's
there was like
focused
one
on
guy
you.
who brought that up, and they're like, no, but
And I
there
think
was
that is
there
so
were stories
fundamental
of like their actual
in this
babies
election.
born, and they were just
So
like letting them
fundamental.
die. They're just like letting them
deserve
die.
a
Like, it really
president. I
did
believe
Well,
happen.
have they been
deserve
given
a
a name
president
yet
who's saying, look,
in their
let's just be
defense?
practical. Let's get things done.
You know.
And let's not be afraid of having a
We
little
lost
joy.
Trump.
To the point
Oh,
of,
it's Trump. Yeah, he has a hard time about.
what makes you feel good about your work. Let's
He's
do
not
it in a way
darling.
that is grounded in
He'll be
optimism.
back.
The thing that I think we all know about who we are as the American people.
Can you imagine
we are
her as a
people who are
leader?
ambitious. We have aspirations. We have dreams.
When you're in
We
a
are
moment of
inherently
crisis,
optimistic. Inherently optimistic.
there's people in the room or people that you know that
And I think
you're like, okay,
people
I need
are
to get with so-and-so
exhausted
because
with the
these are
idea that
leaders.
We're just going to be divided. and
Kamala
angry
as someone to look to in a moment of crisis.
instead
Can you
of
even
working on
imagine
the
that?
problems
No,
and working together.
I feel like I probably am more than
And,
her. That people would
that's
like
what
be like,
motivates me,
oh,
and that's
Absolutely,
what
you are.
you know.
makes me proud when we're able to do that. So.
Vice President Kamala Harris, thank you very much.
Kamala Harris, thank you. Thank you very much.
And thanks for watching. Thanks to all the voters.
Oh,
here.
thanks.
Be sure to join CNN on November 5th for election night in America right here on.
So now they're going to go to the CNN. They're going to go to the after conversation. They're going to have the panel discussions where they're all going to talk about how presidential she looked and how she was able to handle Anderson's challenging questions because he challenged. Oh, look at her. She's pretending to talk to people because you can just randomly walk up to her like that, like this realtor. I think this is the realtor.
Yeah, the one with the necklace.
Yeah, Anderson Cooper's picking out who he's going to take back to the green room with him.
Heard enough from her.
Look at her.
Progressives worried that
She
she was
faces
not
undecided
progressive
voters.
and
They're all
Republicans who
undecided.
are wary of Donald Trump.
I don't know if that's Denver wants to know if he pronounced her name right. They've been calling her Kamala. It sounds like they're calling her Kamala.
Kamala.
Many specifics.
Here's Jake Tapper.
What she would do,
why do they all look like this? Jake Tapper and Anderson.
Because they have this presentation where Tapper does it better than anybody, where it's this pretentious, if you don't agree with what I'm saying type attitude, then you're the dumbest person in the world. Like they did yesterday, Tapper was talking about, what was he saying? He was saying, like, basically, Donald Trump is Hitler, and it's crazy to say otherwise. And he makes his audience feel like they're stupid if they don't go, oh, yeah, he is Hitler.
I'm not sure she did that.
He went to film school.
Here. That guy from Denver that you showed in the one episode you did, where you had Kyle Clark on who said the enemy within or whatever. He's
Yeah.
a Denver guy. He's the same way.
That's a Denver guy.
He's co-worker with the guy who doxed me. Like they're bad news over there. It's nuts. Like
and shovel face here. Look at her. You could dig a grave with that shovel face. Just grab her by the legs, flip her over. And dig a grave. She's Intel, was married to spies previously. Dana Bash.
Be in front of an audience and interacting.
Maybe I'm siloed, as they say. I don't understand how people take this kind of stuff seriously.
Yeah, I said that today because they uncovered more stuff about the Aurora stuff, and I'm like, how did people believe the way they were reporting on everything was just so fake and so. And that Kyle Clark guy was at the Trump rally, and everything was just so fake and stupid. How do people believe it? And why do they want to be cool to these dorks?
So part of me thinks it's like a Nigerian prince scheme, where the whole idea is they riddle the request in the email or the letter, as they used to do it, with errors that anybody who's actually paying attention would be like, okay, this is a scam. Because they want to weed out people who are thinking, and they want to target the dumbest people who, if they'll believe this, they'll believe absolutely anything, and they can be conned.
That's true.
Feels like this is what they're doing with some of this stuff.
It's true.
And this chick here, the porcelain doll.
Although, John, I do
the
wonder,
dark hair girl.
I think
Collins, is that her name? Caitlin Collins. So she sounds like she intentionally tries to deepen her voice to me.
Yeah.
She looks very sterile. And look how they have all these people. See the Secret Service surrounding Kamala here in these images. They have this Asian boy talking to her. And, she hates Asians. You can tell by the look on her face.
Yeah, this was all planned out. Who was going to come talk to her right here?
They've been doing this shit. Like, they had the one interview, which was also in Pennsylvania, where they included the B-roll footage before and after of the interview, which they don't. You never see that. But they included it in Kamala's because they made it look like Kamala was just sitting there and they were doing the cameras and lights and they're like, ready? Yeah. So that it looked like that she was just treating people normally, but it was so robotic and so obviously staged. So it was like a candid moment that was staged B-roll footage. And they did it again after.
And it made her look fake to people who are paying attention.
You know what? In her defense, though, some people believe that the Donald Trump McDonald's thing was a PR stunt, that he didn't really go through the job application process.
Yeah, they think he didn't work there for a day and quit. I think there was a Reddit post I've seen with it's like, this is why the black people want to vote for him. And they're like, let's just felonies, blah, blah, blah. And then the last one now is like, worked at McDonald's for a day and then quit. It's so
That's hilarious.
They don't have Fat Shack in Atlanta, I don't think.
They do. There's one right down the street from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't been
Have you
yet.
been there? I've never even been to one.
I've said I was going to go this week. Stoner's been urging me to. I am going to try it.
I have a friend who might be moving down towards you, which will be like, I will come down there because I need to visit my nephew and you, and then my friend who's going to move down there. So.
Well, come on down. Your nephew lives here?
Yeah, he lives in Jonesboro.
Okay, yeah, I know where that is.
Yeah, and I think he's a firefighter on Atlanta as well. So
yeah, very cool. Yeah, Jonesboro is a country.
Yeah, it's a little like out, right? Like
Yeah.
he has trees and stuff. It looks
well, that's good. Like Atlanta, the city of Atlanta right now, it's awful. I used to live in Atlanta. Past few times I've gone down there, it's nothing but gay people everywhere, LGBT, nothing wrong with gay people, but I'm talking like an overwhelming amount of ghetto ass stuff and then just pride on display over the top LGBTQ stuff.
Like in the
for no
downtown
reason.
area?
Yeah, it's like we have this gay crosswalk, this LGBTQ crosswalk, which it was a big announcement that it got two new stripes. It got the LGBTQ trans people of color stripes, the brown stripes, which nobody talks about the infighting there because trans people aren't cis and gay people are cis. But that crosswalk apparently reproduced because I was driving around Atlanta. They're everywhere. It's like every other crosswalk in Atlanta is a gay pride crosswalk.
Yeah. They did that in Fort Collins, Colorado. They were like had this whole thing about this crosswalk. This like recently, it was for coming out day. It wasn't even Pride or anything like that. It's for coming out day. It was right after they were saying, "Oh, Donald Trump was staged," and I'm like, "Well, what's this? What is this?" Like,
of course, it was staged. So who are they telling that to? You know?
Yeah, all the people right away were like, "Oh, people were rehearsing, going through blah blah," blah. And I'm like, "Well, of course. Like, what? Of course. Like, what do you?" People have shot at the man. What do you think is going to happen? Like, and there was a ton of people there. They had to clear it out, you know.
And so I know that Trump at his events, because I know somebody who met him, that he will shake. Random people can walk up to him if they're in So if you get inside, if you're in one of his events, and there are sections where people who have been phone bankers for him. Like they've done a lot of phone banking, they've been rewarded for it. They get to sit in the sections that are closest to the stage. Trump will just walk right up to those sections and just shake random people's hands. My friend said that there was no like order to it, that she just went right up and just got right in front of him, shook his hand, and he shook his hand. That's not how they do any of this stuff with Biden. From my experiences, or with Kamala, or with Tim Walz, the weirdest person I've ever seen. You don't get within 50 yards of the venue unless you are pre-screened and accepted like a week or so in advance. And I've tried on multiple occasions.
And you're bussed in because it was all planned out and all that. Yeah, like my friend had met Trump in Denver here, and they said, don't talk to him. But he started talking to her, and she kind of like, she has a huge,
yeah, right. She was pretty.
YouTube channel. And so like, she's like, yeah, I've talked to, Don Jr. before, whatever, and he kept talking to her, and she was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
I think Trump is probably talking, to every good-looking chick that talks to him, if he can, if he has time.
I wish I had been able to go, because I had
you
friends
might have gotten to meet him,
where I may have been able to get in the VIP section. Like, it's just like,
yeah.
Why would you not?
And it's so he looking at the section that my friend sat in. Of all the people who were doing the phone banking, that some of them got to meet him, I'm like, those are all like hot MILFs. Like every single person there is like a good looking mom. And I'm like, Trump is like him or hate him. The dude is like 80, and everywhere he goes, he's still getting pussy thrown at him. You know?
Old men are the most flirty like that anyway. I used to work in old folks retired. They're the most flirty dudes ever. Like, whatever, give it to him. Who cares, right? And he's charming. His Denver rally was really fun. Like, he talked crap on Polis, and then later that night he called him a chicken shit. Like, I loved it. Like,
yeah, that's the thing he does. He's a good showman. I tell people, I say, read Art of the Deal. I mean, he talks about his mother's influence on his showmanship in the book, and a lot of his behavior is explained by that book, which is actually a very good book. But it's hard, when I say read Trump's book, it's hard to get past the reaction of, oh, he didn't write it. Of course he didn't write it. He didn't sit down and write it. But just like all of these people, they stand up, they walk and talk, and they have somebody who transcribes.
If I had a book come out, I would not have written it. I would be helped a lot to write it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, can you get past that and read the book? And it's an easy read, and it's funny. And
he's so funny. He's so funny. That's the thing. Like the French, like he was just being so funny when he was like looking at, I've worked at McDonald's now 15 more minutes than Kamala.
It's a great troll. We live in an era of trolls, and that was an ultimate troll for sure.
He's like, she's 60. Ooh, like he did something like that.
She's gross, right? Yeah. Yeah. And he's got Melania who's smoking hot. So that's so listen to how serious these people are. A lot
of his plans are for the future. We know.
I mean,
things like
they all look miserable to be around.
That's just not his thing. Yeah. And the idea of Donald Trump as a president, maybe people are giving him more leeway because of what they saw in the past with the economy.
She looks like the Joker.
Now be
Hitler.
Yeah, get to Hitler. Let's just go all the way.
But can I just really quickly say one thing about where we were before?
Yes, please.
On immigration
shovel face.
And the question that Anderson asked and pressed on.
You can dig your way into America with her.
Town hall that you had way back when about the border wall.
What's up, Parks?
She's not only vice president, but she's a former senator. And the answer to that is that's what we do when we compromise. We give a little, we take a little.
We marry Doug Emhoff.
Wall, but if he's willing to do X, Y, and Z, that's what we're going to do. That's what.
But why didn't she say that?
That's what. I know.
Quickly to that point, I think sometimes what you see and what people who like her and support her see and are trying to help her with is inexperience. She ran in California. It's not competitive.
They all agree with each other. All 5 of these people. They're not letting the black woman talk. I have to point that out.
She should go, I'm a black woman. You need to listen to me. That's what she needs to do.
Yeah, they do that more explicitly on MSNBC. They do it sometimes on CNN. But MSNBC is like watching a parody comedy, especially what's her name?
Watch that stuff because
Joy Reid. It's the way if you frame it as I'm going to watch something that's going to be just kind of hilarious and not like, not like it's a real thing, then it's tolerable. But other people watch it. I have friends of mine who, when they say something and they say they watch an MSNBC show or something like that, or Rachel Maddow, I don't even know how to talk to them anymore after that. They literally think that white Christian nationalism is rising across the country. It's a major problem. They think Trump is Hitler. Obviously, they have for a long time, and they think Trump will round them up if he's elected
and force them to get pregnant.
Even if they're guys, he'll impregnate their dick holes, and then he won't let them abort it. It'll be very painful for 9 months.
Oh.
Like women talk about how painful pregnancy is. They've never had a dick hole pregnancy.
Or dick hole. I saw something with a bidet. A guy accidentally got bidet water up his dick hole, and he got E. coli poison.
He got E. coli? Damn.
He did it on purpose. He did it on purpose.
He shot it up his dick hole on purpose?
He says it just happened, but I'm like, you probably.
No, he was fucking the bidet is what he was doing. And that's what he was probably doing. Bidet's the thing that sprays the water, right?
Yeah. He's like, well, somehow some E. coli water got up into that hole, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, somehow this 24-ounce beer can got into my ass and gave me E. coli.
Exactly.
You look up stories like that. There's like weird hospital.
They said more people die from that than ARs. More people die from putting
stuff in their ass.
Yeah.
They just can't help themselves. Just can't. Yeah, you got to be really bored to just be going, what else can I put in my ass right now? It's got to be something.
Did we lose Trump for good? I felt bad.
Trump, I'm told him to come back if he is. I think he said he's going to try to in a second. He's not feeling well.
I like your background now because that's how I feel lately with all the NGO research I've been doing and all this. Like I find more nonprofits every day and stuff that is connected to everything. And then, like I said, today, the Aurora stuff was blowing up again today. And
so tell us more about what's going on over there with that.
Well, now they just, so there was a city council lady who's been trying to get information on this. And a couple weeks ago at one of the city council meetings, she passed a resolution that they're going to research the NGOs or investigate them. And I guess Polis, our governor, was watching, and she said, Polis, I have videos, blah, 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 of this and that. You need to watch them. And instead of he just left and he called the he called the police on her, but the police already have seen these videos. She's just holding it to let this stuff out at the right time and stuff with the Coras and Foyas. And so he called the cops on her, but they already knew about this video. And basically the gang has been taking over since September 2023. And then it's all the gang. It's just these nonprofits have been bringing these people in, and the management company is trying to be all innocent too. And I'm like,
so the gangs are taking over buildings.
Yeah.
So then Colorado's where that's happening, and they brought them in through these nonprofits that are like shell organizations.
They're like slumlords, and it's government money, and
So the benefit to them, to these nonprofits, is that they get this government money and these grants, and I'm guessing maybe the leaders of them are like organizers that get to demonstrate their ability to do shit like this for.
They got awards. They got awards through one of the community foundations that were money. It's all money washing, because when we start following, it's all money goes between funds and that. It's wild, but I don't understand it. It's. I mean, I do understand it, but how these people have these jobs, and this one lady's like, we're just writing so many checks, blah blah blah. It's holy crap!
It's crazy how many what they can get away with through these shell organizations and through the knowledge that. Most people just don't pay attention to shit.
Yeah. And they had these other smaller nonprofits that were showing up and wrote signs. They told them we're going to protest. It's just all fake. It's all fake. And they're trying to pin it on the slumlord, which it is a slumlord. It is, but that's what happens when you have government money is you turn into a slumlord, but the slumlord's fighting back. And but I'm you got it's so insane what they've been trying to cover up. And now we have that there was crimes going on for a long time, and the police department knew about the crimes, and they've been covering it up. They've been covering it up,
because they're getting some sort of payment on the back end or some sort of benefit.
Kyle Clark guy, Kyle Clark guy's been covering it up this whole time since it started breaking. He's been, and it's what are?
So there's exposure getting onto this now.
Emails got released recently that proved that there was crime, because everyone's saying, no, there's been no crime going on. But now we have the emails going back for a long time. We're and the mayor, who is a Republican, the mayor has been trying to cover it up too. And he got they show he knew what was going on and all this. And they were trying to blame it on this one city council lady who has brought it up. And they've been attacking her for it, because that's what Kyle Clark does. He attacks Republican women.
Well, they go after people like that who call them out to intimidate others into silence. And I love the way you said that, where you said they were there's no crime, because it's this elaborate network to do criminal activity in a way that they can't be pinned down for a specific crime is the goal.
Right. And they just arrested someone recently who cut a dude's finger off in extortion and all this stuff.
What?
Yes.
Who got his finger cut off?
Yeah, two people were you have to do this, and it's criminal organization, which can't happen it can't happen whenever with any race, anybody, right? But these people have been allowed to destroy these buildings and they were threatening the cleaners to give them keys to the empty apartments and all. They've just been terrorizing, because they were paid to be brought into America, and
there's been no consequences for them. They're not going after them.
And I think they were because in Colorado you can get a driver's license very easily as an illegal immigrant. You can get a license, and as soon as you get a license, you get automatically registered to vote unless you say no. But I think all these ballots were getting sent to places too, and I think these nonprofits were going and picking up the ballots, and it's a whole
That's
thing.
Hilarious. Yeah, well, I'm telling you, if they implement my plan, you could offer them money, but good luck pulling them off of that border wall with all those fleshlights. That's all I'm saying. It's something that they should consider if they really want to stop the problem. Stacey Abrams does that.
Middle East dudes for sure.
Do what now?
That'll stop the Middle East dudes for sure.
Yeah. Stacey Abrams creates shell organizations all over Atlanta.
It's
amazing
what they do.
They do all this stuff that goes right up to criminal activity, and then Stacey Abrams will transfer the leadership role to somebody else. She'll take her name off of it, and then she'll go create another shell organization, and right after that, the previous one ends up getting sued by a bunch of people for fraudulent activity. Over and over again, it happens.
It's amazing what they've been doing. It's insane, really, because it's all, and then they have to find all these bureaucratic college people to do these nonprofit jobs and think they're doing something good, right? Like it's
you need to protect America, you cocksucker, and therefore this civil rights hero, which in Stacey Abrams, that's how they paint her. That's how they view her. When we pretend to be white dudes for Harris, one of the questions that I asked people is, or I would say to people, I would say, you know, I love Kamala and Tim, but I'm never going to forget what Stacey Abrams did to turn this state purple. And they all would just go, oh my God, love that woman. And they just go on a diatribe about how inspirational Stacey Abrams is to them, having no idea about her history, what she calls as riots. Everything she says to them is a lie. Her backstory is a lie. She's very privileged, always has been. Another one of these fake stories and backgrounds. It actually is like Hollywood acting, theater, but just implanted into the political atmosphere. And people just see, if they just viewed all this shit the same way they do the movies, then maybe they'd realize that it's not real. But it's like going to watch a movie and acting as though it's actually really going to impact you, seeing, you know, nowadays 2 dudes fuck in every scene in every movie that you watch, because that's like they have to catch up. You know, they showed so many naked women over the years. Now you can't watch a movie on Netflix without 2 dudes randomly banging each other for no reason.
For no reason.
The movie could be called Lesbian Scissor Sex. Nothing but women having lesbian hot sex. And then randomly there'd just be a cut to of 2 dudes fucking. It's punishment.
It is. Because no one wants to see that.
Nobody wants to see that.
We don't want to see the dudes fucking.
I've never met a person who wants to see that. Not even a woman.
No, women will watch like lesbian porn, but they'll never watch like gay dude porn.
Yeah, hey dudes, is that my pizza? Yeah, it's your pizza. You know, opens like it just doesn't work the same way. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, watch that. I'll tune into one of these Disney Marvel shows every now and then just to see, just to see how gay they are. And the witch show, what's it called? Agatha All Along. It's like a spin-off to one of the spin-offs to the Avengers. And there's 5 witches on the show, and 4 of them are lesbians, and the 5th one is a gay teen witch boy. There's no straight people, no straight witches on this show.
No, you can't, because you have to practice sex magic and stuff. So if you're a witch, so
I guess, yeah, I don't know. I maybe you don't need heterosexual sex to have babies as a witch. I have no idea how it works.
Well, Jack Parsons invented, you know, rockets from his sex magic, which is heterosexual. So
yeah, Did you see the witches today? That apparently on Reddit, there's like a forum of witches who were saying they're trying to cast spells on Donald Trump, and he has something protecting him.
I'm sure. Like I said, that like my friend was doing magic and then she became a judge. I don't know. Like I don't know. Some of the stuff I'm like,
just kidding. You know, a robe appears on it. Did you even go to law school or even a lawyer?
yeah, she was a lawyer, but then after everything's come, and so I stopped being friends with her because she was like, "You need to read White Fragility," and I was like,
"It
was in 2020," and I was like, and she wasn't speaking up about everything being wrong. She went to Maui during the shutdown. Was hanging out in Maui while working for Denver. Like all this stuff happened, and I was like, maybe there is something to this stuff, you know? Like
it's anybody tells me to read White Fragility, it's over.
Yeah, and she has two. She was on her second white husband, and she's talking about white virgin. I was like, "What are you?" And at that point, she wasn't very political, I didn't think. And then now I'm like, she probably cheated her way through law school too, like all the rest of them. Like, you know, like
A white boyfriend gave her all the answers.
Probably because he was smart. So,
all right, what is this, Denver? You said during the important election year, Bridge readers want you to know how. Hold on, I got to send an article here. Michigan voter rolls list 8.4 million registered voters, nearly 500,000 more than the eligible voting population. Republicans have sued, claiming ballot bloated rolls could lead to fraud. Michigan plans to remove over 600,000 inactive voters by 2027, but the state's rolls remain among the nation's most inflated. So in Georgia, they blocked all those state elections board rules that were passed. They had a judge, the Democrats sued, and they stopped. So there'll be no hand counting of the ballots. There'll be no continued monitoring of the ballots for the chain of custody. Everything that would maybe build confidence in the integrity of the election, they blocked all of it by a judge.
And don't you question it. If you question it, you're disinformation, misinformation.
This is exactly what it is. Right. They call you a Nazi, a MAGA, and it's not MAGA. They had all these people at 7 a.m. down there at the Capitol of Georgia protesting these rules that 4 years ago the Democrats were calling for.
Right.
The hand count ballot votes. And they had people fill up the public comment section going up and saying, we've already trained the election workers, and there's such little time, and you want to change the rule, and you think a tired person could do as good as the machine? Like begging to give the power over to the machine.
And all those people are paid to go testify. They're paid on the clock to do that, I'm sure.
And they're saying the same thing. And the rule is you're not supposed to go up and read somebody else's comments. They were all reading the same thing.
The same thing, yeah, every time. Every time. When you start paying attention, it's just like
it is. It can drive you mad. Like I can tolerate it. It's just when like friends of mine, and I do comedy and theater and stuff, and so I do see a lot of people that I just laugh because I'm like, that was so predictable that you were going to say that thing that they wanted you to say, and I just, it's hard to get through to some of those people because the brainwashing has been so effective. But I agree with you that doing local work is the most effective way to fight back against it. Is there anything else that is going on locally that you've been fired up about? I know you're always out doing stuff.
Well, they're just trying to put like a homeless shelter in my city, but they're going to eventually put immigrants in it, and they're going to make money off of it. And the county commissioner has basically forced my city council to do it. Like it's all convoluted, and it's all these career politicians, and they're all getting money from nonprofits. It's all like that. So anyways, if you're in Jefferson County, Colorado, vote no on 1A and vote for Natalie Menton, please. Thank you.
And what's 1A specifically? Is it what you were just talking about?
So Colorado has a thing called Tabor, which is a taxpayer bill of rights that this crazy dude 30 years ago put in, where they said, if you're going to raise our taxes, you have to ask us on the ballot for it. So they've been trying to get rid of it for years and years, and most of them have at different levels. In our county, you still get your property tax Tabor refund, and they're basically trying to get rid of that because they need more money all the time, right? So it's basically them for the third time in like 4 years trying to get rid of this cap, and they hired a U.S. rep's husband to write the ballot initiative. They paid him $340,000 from the taxpayers' dollars to do it. It's so. And
so nobody probably knew that until after the fact, or did people know and they just didn't care?
We knew early on, but no one cares. People go, "Oh, well, it's normal for people to work in the same industry." I'm like, government is not.
He has experience, of course. Yeah, no bias there at all.
And it's the bidding, the way they pick the bids and stuff. It was
all fair. The homeless shelters they build in Atlanta anyway, the homeless people, I would say probably most of them want nothing to do with the homeless shelters.
Yeah, because if you have stuff, you're not allowed to bring your stuff into the shelter.
You can't do drugs in there. Yeah. No, my sister lives near one, and in front of her building, in front of the gate, every time I go down there, 24 homeless people just like waiting there just to go up to your window and ask for some shit. And there's a homeless shelter in walking distance that they could go to and get food and get shelter and all. None of them go to it.
No, but Brad, we just need to give them a house. We just need to give them a house, and they'll be fine. And then we need to give all these nonprofits more money to help. It's all, one of my city council lady signed this thing that 500 people from around the country signed that says, yeah, bring more immigrants over. And it's all for money. It's all human trafficking and money through these nonprofits and stuff. Like, it's crazy.
Bring them over. Bring all the fucking immigrants over. So what do you think about the open border? So libertarians, that was always a point of conflict with libertarians.
I had people ask me that when I was running for city council in Arvada, and I'm like, okay. Yeah. But now I understand, because this one lady who won in the other district, she's part of the whole system. They want to bring people over because they get paid money for it. Her husband works in a nonprofit that benefits from it. Like, it's all. I don't want open borders for our country where people pay money and taxes and these people are being paid. Like, it's no. I don't. And libertarians can hate me. I don't care. Hey, Daniel. Like, I don't. We can't. Yeah, open borders would be great, except in a libertarian society, people I don't like are not going to be living in my community. So, like, there are certain things that.
Yeah, because it's not just open borders; it's open borders, and then you have to give them all of this other stuff along with it.
It's being paid for. Yeah. Can't do that.
Yeah, the problem is that I don't know that it will ever be solved. Is you have a bunch of willing con artists. Anybody who's ever met a pathological liar, like a really a true con artist, knows what I'm talking about. These people are willing to do and say things with it. Some of them are a lot better at doing it authentically, seemingly authentically than others, but they're willing to look you in the eye and as earnestly as they can lie to you and attempt to take everything you have and use what they know about most people, which is that most people have good intent. And they know that that is a weakness in others that they exploit. They see it as a weakness. And so these con artists, pretending to be good-natured, earnest people, are conning actual, well-intended people because most people think, oh, I would never lie and manipulate like this. So, of course, they're not doing that. But politicians at the highest level, especially, people are drawn to that. It's the biggest con that's ever existed. It is profitable, very obviously, for them. Which is why I just I don't vote at the federal level. I'll go right in, but I will vote at the local level stuff. It's just
it doesn't matter.
Even if you fucking love someone who's a politician, we need to maintain the same level of skepticism because this is the profession that's filled with the most skilled con artist on the planet.
Half of them have crimes in their past where they stole. There's a Denver City Council lady who used to work for one of the department of who hands out food stamps and stuff, and she stole money from it, and then she still made it onto city council.
She still makes it, right?
And she's bringing in more money for funding for that, and I'm like, that's what they want criminals.
Now it's extraordinary to experience a person like this firsthand. There was somebody I knew back in the day. I've told this story before, but it's what really helped open my eyes to what people are capable of. That everybody that I knew at this theater didn't at first know that she was conning everybody else. And me and one of my other friends kind of realized it when she started to get too big with her lies, telling me that she donated $800,000 to the theater, I guess not knowing that I know the person who owns the theater and I could verify, I could find out if that were true or not. Then it leads then you start to ask other questions that are false. But she was dating a friend of mine who I think it might have been his first girlfriend, honestly, at the time. And he's the sweetest guy. And I knew she was lying to him. And I would ask her questions when she said stuff. I would say, I would point out that what she said was a contradiction and not true in a way that if he were rational at the time, if he were not, thinking about pussy, he would have gone, oh my God, that is a lie, but pussy was on the mind, and so it was hard because everybody, she would do all these fake GoFundMes. She would say she got robbed and all. I knew it was all fake, but you couldn't tell people because they would get mad at you for telling them. And it took more and more people finally discovering that she was conning them and stealing from them. And my friend eventually learned it too when he had when he firsthand experienced her lies when he found out about another guy she was doing something with. And it's crazy. You can tell people and show them evidence, all the evidence in the world of the past actions, but it's until it affects them on a personal level, they're not going to open their eyes themselves.
Nope. No, people are tricky, man.
Do you remember any moments that made you kind of be like, man, everything's bullshit? I know that's a hard question.
Well, I mean, just during the whole COVID thing, I was like, oh yeah, everything's bullshit.
Yeah.
Before that, because I was raised religious and my parents were a little weird. I'm fine with, we're great relationship now, but like when I first moved out, they were weird, and things like that where I'm like, oh, your family can like turn on you because you're going to be independent. Like there's just all these little things that happen in life, and you're like, okay, yeah, like
right.
Thank God it happened because it helped make me who I am now. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, rock star.
What?
A rock star.
I'm a rock star.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you got that. You get that rock and roll attitude, which
I used
is
to work in
what I
concert
like.
promotions. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that one of the girls that goes around? You guys give Zimas to people?
Well, I was the bookkeeper for a concert promoter, so like the dorkiest job there was for it. But yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, there's a book called The Big Con. I recommend everybody reading. I've talked about it a lot, but it's this writer who traveled with these roving band of con artists who would go from town to town, and they would take over the town, and they would identify a wealthy target, the most wealthy target that they had identified as somebody who was gullible, basically. And they would get the cops in on it. They would get the politicians in on it, and they would open up a whole storehouse in whatever town they're in, and they would create a fake horse racing event. And they would lure this really wealthy person in, and they'd have this whole real environment of actors pretending to be betting on the horse racing. And they'd take this guy for not all he's worth. They would take him for just enough money that obviously paid everybody, but still kept him on the hook. And he would leave not realizing that the whole thing was set up and staged just to rob him, because they wanted to make sure they could do it again to him.
Right.
And then they would relay to other con artists in other cities, this guy is a mark who's on the hook, and they would go after him as well, knowing what his weaknesses are. And it's just eye-opening to me how involved they got everybody. He's got like a whole glossary of terms for all the tricks they used to do. And this is like in the 1920s, before technology is like it is right now. But just apply that shit to now, I think is probably the same shit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Terminator Mommy is fun, says Stoner.
Mark. That's what they say from WWE. Like Mark.
From WWE?
Look, they always say, you freaking Mark. Like people who like give the business out and stuff.
All right. Well, tell everybody where they can find you. Thanks for joining me today, Jessica. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
It's always fun.
Forest Mommy on Twitter. Everyone
Forest
knows.
Mommy on Twitter. Follow her. She's a great follow. Very funny. She goes after people who need to be gone after, and post great photos of the events that you do. And I think people should follow in your footsteps. I think you are a good example for fighting the government. Thanks, guys, for hanging out in the chats and for having some fun with us today. And we'll do it again soon. We'll be back tomorrow. Garland Favorito is going to be on the show tomorrow afternoon to talk about all the election subversion stuff with the state elections board. And then we'll probably be back tomorrow night as well. And Romano says Forest Mommy is the best. She's hot too.
He's who painted that picture up. Did you, when you were watching my birthday stream and I opened that picture up, that painting? That's who painted it. I don't know if you remember that, but
I don't remember, but it's probably a beautiful painting. Totally. All right, guys. We'll talk to you next time. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.